Off the coast of Vietnam, there's a beach that my family and I used to travel to when I was growing up. I remember that the water was so clear that when I was swimming, I could see fish underneath me. The waves were so calm, I was able to walk for ages before it ever became deep. My brother and I had some of our happiest, craziest weekends on this beach. In 2022, we haven't been back to this beach for a long time, and we had a vacation, so we thought, why not? And we returned. When I arrived at this beach, I was completely speechless. The water I once swam in was a floating garbage dump. There were beer cans bobbing in the waves and plastic bags drifting where the fish used to be. The beach itself was littered with trash. Some of it had been washed ashore. You could see was being washed ashore by the waves. I could not recognize this place that my brother and I used to go to. The worst part came when I approached this trash to get a closer look. That's when I started recognizing things that among all that trash. I saw textile waste, fragments of clothing, synthetic fiber, all tangled and jumbled in the seaweed. Synthetic fibers are made out of plastic. That's why they're able to survive and accumulate, and they clog up our oceans for so long. And one of the most popular fiber on Earth today is a synthetic called polyester. It's in more than half the clothes we wear. It is also one of the biggest contributor to microplastic in our ocean. Before the GSB, I worked in textile manufacturing, so I knew that some of what I was looking at had come from my own industry. Nothing like going to a remote beach on vacation just to be confronted by your own supply chain. What has the industry done about this? We've shifted to recycled polyester. And you've probably all seen the marketing. We take old clothes and we turn them into new ones. We take ocean plastics and we turn them into sneakers. You close the loop, you make new products, and you cut back waste. And this sounds amazing. Here's what most people don't realize. Virtually all recycled polyester is made out of plastic bottles. Not from old clothes, not from ocean plastics, but from the same water and soda bottles sitting in our recycling bins right now. The reason for this is that old clothes are messy. They're complicated. They're comprised of many different parts like dyes, spandex, cottons, zippers, and the technology required to pull all of that out, sort them, and recycle them at scale just isn't currently available. A plastic bottle, on the other hand, it's uniform, it's simple, it's much easier to recycle this bottle. So the next time someone tells you that their shirt is made out of recycled fabric, just know that that shirt used to hold your Coke Zero. Let's think about this for a moment, because a plastic bottle is something we've actually figured out how to recycle at scale. You take a bottle, you recycle it, it becomes another bottle. You recycle that bottle, and it becomes a bottle again. That loop is closed, and it works. But the moment you take this plastic bottle and you turn it into a polyester shirt, the loop leaks. That shirt, with today's current technology, most likely won't be recycled into anything useful at all. We are pulling material out of a loop that is closed and putting it into one that leaks. Some players in the industry have already started catching on to this, and some of the biggest brands have started moving away from bottle-based polyester. Regulators in Europe have started flagging bottle-based polyester as a problem. Even the beverage industry has been complaining for years because fashion has literally been taking their recycled bottle inputs. All right, so the loop leaks. But why do we, as consumers, know so little about this? Let's take a step back and think about the last time you and I bought a shirt. We walked into the store, we picked up the shirt we liked, and we flipped up the tag, and it says, made from recycled materials. How do you feel? You probably feel great. You might even pay extra for the shirt. But here's what that tag doesn't tell you. Did it come from a bottle that could have been recycled 5 more times? Or was it from a shirt that was heading to a landfill? You, as the consumer, don't really know if you are solving the problem you think you are, or you're unknowingly moving this problem around. So you never really got to make a choice. Before we get bottled up about this, there's good news. There are 3 steps we can take. The first, most simple, most obvious, is to demand more transparency. Some companies have started to become more specific with their labeling, saying this came from post-consumer textile waste, or this came from ocean plastics. This is great for you, the consumer. This means that our money, our purchase decisions are going towards solving the problems we want, and we should demand more of that. The second is to build and to invest more in this space. Startups have already started building the infrastructure to take apart old clothes and to turn them into new fiber. Not bottles into shirts, shirts into shirts. That's closing the loop. Thirdly, when you are done wearing your favorite shirt, favorite sweater, favorite jacket, don't just throw them away. Donate them, resell them, keep them in the loop. Most fabric today end up in landfill because they never had a chance to stay in the system in the first place. If none of those 3 points resonate with you, just own less. Do what this guy did. For the record, this isn't me. I have 1 shirt. Look, joke aside, I don't know if that beach will ever look the way it did when I was a kid. And I bet you have a place like this too. Maybe it was a beach. Maybe it was a trail you hiked with your dad growing up. Somewhere you would want to return to one day. Somewhere you would want to take your kids. Will they get to see what you did? By fighting for a loop that closes, we are fighting for those places, yours and mine. Thank you.